This podcast is produced by Outcomes Rocket, your healthcare exclusive digital marketing agency. Outcomes Rocket exists to help healthcare organizations like yours to maximize their impact and accelerate growth. Visit outcomesrocket.com or text us at 312-224-9945. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Outcomes Rocket. Saul Marquez here at the HFMA conference, live in Denver, Colorado. I am with the outstanding Dugan Winkie. He is head of commercial strategy at Cedar, and I'm so thrilled to have him back on the podcast. I was walking down the hall and I was like, oh my God, there's Dugan. So Dugan, so glad that we could do this.
Yeah.
We ran into each other.
I am glad I was here. I'm glad you stopped by, and I'm glad we can share some insights.
I love that.
In this week.
Yeah, let's do that. And you know, a big part of why we're doing this is for the folks that cannot make the conference, that we share some of the insights so they're not missing out. So let's kick things off with just you sharing a little bit about you and Cedar. And then let's talk about the session that you led after that. So tell us about you and Cedar.
Yeah. So in terms of myself, I'm responsible for pretty much all net new product strategy as well as commercial strategy. So really thinking about forward-looking innovation. So for Cedar, what we are talking about very extensively this week are two themes. One of which is Kora. That is our AI, agentic AI, really focused at patient financial experience with billing support. So what does that mean? It is rather than calling in and waiting for 20 minutes to talk to a representative who maybe is not quite as knowledgeable as you would expect on certain like healthcare topics, how do we free up their capacity to really target the most complex needs? So what does that mean pragmatically? It means increasing efficiency and ultimately eliminating the need for up to 30% of inbound phone calls, specifically targeting billing related, inquiries. So that is Kora. We actually have a great booth right behind us that you can't see where.
Do we show them?
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to do a quick show here, show and tell since we can. Look at that.
So you can see there, we've got Kora up and running. You can interact with Kora. You can listen to a few different voice demos from Kora. And that's really one of the key themes that we are focused on this week. I would also say we are not the only ones focused on agentic AI here at HFMA. So if I were to say what is one key theme, if you walk through the exhibit hall, it is absolutely like there is a plethora of companies that are all thinking about various applications of AI, various forms of agentic AI, as well as, AI-powered denials management. And I think in my mind, what makes Cedar unique as we think about agentic AI is, I'll throw out a bit of a spicy take. I think agentic AI will become pretty ubiquitous, over the next few years. And it's also going to be honestly pretty easy for providers and health systems to run head-to-head tests, right? See which agentic AI is better at accomplishing the task that you're looking to fulfill. And for us, we have really built our company based on deep integration with a variety of different ecosystem players. So payer data, HSA bank data, Medicaid eligibility and enrollment, pharmacy copay assistance. All of this data can then feed Kora, our AI agent, to help resolve those questions. Because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing is so many times patients call in and they call in with questions. They don't call in with a clear knowledge or intent to pay. So being able to diagnose that problem and then ultimately presenting like a very personalized resolution pathway is going to be incredibly important.
That's awesome, Dugan. Now, one quick question that I did have to clarify. Are you guys mainly focused on Medicaid or are you broader than that?
We're definitely broader. So
okay,
I know like your original question was like, talk a little bit about the session.
Yes. So let's get into that. Yeah, let's get into that. But let's get into that, but also help us understand the breadth of what you guys cover.
So we are a complete healthcare financial engagement platform. So what does that mean? It means engaging with a patient to not just pay their bill, but also to personalize that resolution pathway. And I think what we are finding increasingly is that it is not as easy as, we have Apple Pay or we have payment plan options. Like that's fairly commoditized at this point. Mm-hmm. It's really how do you personalize that engagement and then how do you provide those personalized resolution pathways But broader than Medicaid, I would say all things that are financial in nature and also directly touch the patient.
Got it.
Really our sweet spot.
Got it. No, thanks for that. Thanks for that. So let's dig into the session a little bit. What did you guys cover? I didn't get a chance to catch it. So this is my chance to catch up, but also to share with everybody else what the discussion was and who participated.
Yeah, so it was a packed room, which was great to see.
Yeah, that's always
so, yes. So the general premise was what we are coining the affordability crisis right now in healthcare. So why do we call it that? Those are pretty provocative words. What we are seeing right now is a massive increase in two factors: the amount of responsibility that patients are on the hook for, and those could be both like balance after insurance, where they have a high deductible health plan, and instead of a $20 copay, they now have to pay $4,000. And then the other trend is increase in self-pay. And what we're seeing right now across our customers is about 35% of all outstanding, AR that we're servicing across our customer base is coming from uninsured or self-pay patients. So that is a big number, and we're going to see that number grow. Like, why are we going to see it grow? Medicaid, the upcoming Medicaid legislation that's being proposed will have major impacts for providers, not just to kind of keep patients enrolled, but even things like a more narrow window of retroactive coverage. These are ultimately going to shift the cost burden more and more to patients. And this is a unique problem that providers, I would argue, are not well equipped to handle and need a partner specifically focused at engaging these difficult to collect from patients. So I'll give you, I know you were asking for an anecdote or an example.
Yeah, I would love that. Actually, yes, please.
We have been digging into this segment, and this is an active invoice for a patient for one of our customers, and they have a $300,000 bill. Yeah, think about it. Just presenting, this could be 12 easy installments of $26,000. It's kind of almost ludicrous at face value. Generally speaking, if you don't have insurance, you do not have the funds available to pay that bill.
Right.
Another really interesting example along those lines are, how can we work with that patient to ultimately find a resolution pathway? And it could be enrollment. It could be looking at presumptive eligibility and charity. It could be looking at what is the expected, payment value for that patient. But really, I think what we are trying to illustrate here is patients are going to be increasingly on the hook. And you need a partner who is able, willing, and ultimately capable of personalizing that experience to help make some inroads on that front.
Yeah, no, that's great. All these options that oftentimes are not familiar, we're not familiar as patients, what we can access, how we can use it. Super important to have that. It's kind of like on the medication side of things, right? All the coupons and things. There's this platform built around that.
There are dollars out there,
right? Available to pay for the care. It shouldn't be that as a health system, you're stuck with basically unaccounted for AR. You can't collect on it. And as a patient, that you're stuck with a bill and now you're in debt and it affects you negatively. For everybody out there that potentially is thinking about, and especially the CFOs, they're looking for solutions to work on thinner and thinner margins. What advice would you give them coming out of this meeting that could help them make a difference?
Yeah, maybe I'll kind of keep it with the two core themes that we talked about. So on the affordability side, my advice to CFOs would be patients are your fastest growing payer. You are increasingly reliant on patients to ultimately pay their bills in order for you to meet those, thin margin guardrails that you alluded to earlier.
Yeah.
However, in order to really interact with these very difficult to collect from patients with high dollar balances, you can't just approach it as a one size fits all. We have an existing billing portal and we have payment plans up to 12 months. That's just not going to cut it. So that would be one thing is really looking forward 2 years, especially with some of the Medicaid changes that we're expecting. This is going to be a major issue for, I would argue, every health system. And I think maybe my second kind of piece of advice, more on the AI side, is as I walk around the floor, no shortage of people talking about AI. It's a much smaller group that is talking about results and clients that they are live with. So I think at least what I have heard in many of my conversations is, how do I separate out the substance, spurts, and noise? And, for us, we're extremely proud that we're able to talk through that we have gone live with our alpha provider with Kora. And Apollo ND has already seen some really impressive results. So I would just encourage people, like, as this space kind of continues to mature and evolve, like really coming back to business outcomes. Like we can't just adopt AI for AI's sake. Like we need to be looking at what is the problem statement that AI is solving for, and then what are your vendors that are best suited to actually demonstrate that they're impacting and moving the needle.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant, Dugan. I love that. Do you have a patient payment strategy? The numbers are growing in that way. We've got to think about it. And on the AI side, be clear about your problems and make sure you're connecting with folks and vendors like Cedar to help you get there. And Dugan's willing to basically roll up his sleeves.
That's right.
And go toe to toe with other solutions out there, because ultimately you want to do what's best for your health system and your patients. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode. If people want to reach out to you, Dugan, where can they get in touch?
Yeah. So cedar.com is a great way. Also, Dugan Winkie, you can find me. There's not a lot of Dugan Winkies out there, but we would love to continue the conversation and look forward to it.
And you're in Chicago, right? So if you're in Chicago, you could probably find Dugan and grab a cup of coffee and chat live, right?
That's right.
Love it. Love it. Well, Dugan, thanks for being with us. This has been a real pleasure.
Yeah, likewise. I appreciate it.
Yep. This podcast is produced by Outcomes Rocket, your healthcare exclusive digital marketing agency. Outcomes Rocket exists to help healthcare organizations like yours to maximize their impact and accelerate growth. Visit outcomesrocket.com or text us at 312-224-9945.